Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. My track guide for the Toyota GR86 going around Spa, the classic pits layout. Let's get into it. On the classic pits layout, we start by going downhill. Everything will be flat out, and make sure to cut the first inside curb a lot, turning in so we get close to the inside curb of turn 2, but do not hit it. And then we want to straighten the wheel, so we cut the inside curb of turn 3, making sure we have one set of wheels on the red and yellow curb. And now it's just a drag race down to turn 5, where draft will play a huge part in the race here. Bump drafting and all sorts of other games will be going on, but when we are qualifying we want to get over to the left side of the track to open up turn 5 a bit more. But when racing you might need to defend going into turn 5. Make sure to use the outside curb of turn 5 to help with the entry. My braking marker is when the fence becomes less dense here on the left. I'm aiming for about 80% brake pressure, trailing that off all the way to the inside curb of turn 5, which we are going to cut fairly aggressively. Once on that curb we should be able to start to apply the throttle again. The goal here is to cut a lot of the inside curb of turn 6 as well, to get as far left as possible for turn 7. Here you need to control the car with the throttle going on and off it, while going over the curbs. Getting this right should make us able to go full throttle through turn 7. And of course we are going to cut the inside curb of turn 7 as well, and utilize all of the available room on the outside. Turn 8 is a place people might try and overtake you as well, but when qualifying be on the left side of the track, and we want to start to brake once we get onto the curb here on the left. I aim for about 75% brake pressure, and we are trailing that off to just after the middle of the corner. I prefer to get in and stay close to the inside curb, and just after the middle of the corner we want to start to apply the throttle again. All we want to do is make sure we come out just about mid-track out of turn 8. That will make life easier into turn 9. We don't have to brake for turn 9, all we do is lift. We want to get as close as we can to the big anti-cut on the inside. Once we are at the inside curb we should be able to go on the throttle again, and of course use all of the room here besides the gravel. For turn 10 we want to stay on the right side of the track. If people are aggressive, they will try and overtake you into turn 10. My braking mark for turn 10 is the 50 board here on the left. Once I'm in line with that, I start to brake. All we really do is actually just trail braking. I go to about max 10%. We want to hold the trail braking pressure till just before the inside curb ends. I braked a little bit too much in this one, and it shows in the time. Just after the inside curb ends, we should be able to go full throttle again. Just make sure not to go wider than the white line, because that will give you a 1x. Now it's all about being smooth to scrub off as little speed as possible. You only want to use the track you need, so less is more here. Then we want to go over to the left side of the track, turn 12. We want to start to brake once we get into the outside curb here, and I aim for about 75% brake pressure. And we want to trail that off all the way to the green AstroTurf ends on the inside curb. We want to stay as right throughout turn 12 as possible, to help us set up for turn 13 a lot more. Getting this right will make sure we can go full throttle throughout turn 13. We pick up the throttle as we get past the green AstroTurf, and as I said, when we get this right we should be able to cut a little bit of turn 13, staying flat out and staying within the limits on the outside. Just make sure to keep one set of wheels within the white line. Then we're all good, get back to the left side of the track. We brake for turn 14 once we get onto the outside curb here on the left. I aim for about 85% brake pressure, and we're trailing it off all the way to the inside curb. As we get onto the curb we should apply the throttle again, and we do that because we are flat out all the way down to turn 18 and 19 from here. Cut a little bit off the curb, but don't cut too much, it will give you a 1x. Utilize all of the available room on the outside. We can go fully on this curb here, keeping one set of wheels on the white line. Then it's all about being as smooth as possible, driving as few meters as possible. Quickly getting back to the inside white line. Once we can see a straight path to the left side of the track, we want to take the shortest route possible again. Again here, just like the Camel Straight, people will try and use draft to get past you. Bump drafting is also possible, so keep that in mind when you have people around you. For turn 17 we want to make it as smooth as possible, so make sure to get out to the outside white line, being as smooth as possible, using as little steering input as possible. Staying on the white line here for now, before getting over to the left side of the track for turn 18. Turn 18 is a place where people will try and overtake you as well. My braking marker is the 100 board here on the left, and I aim for about 90% brake pressure, and we are trailing that off all the way to the inside curb of turn 18. We want to cut as much of the inside curb as we can, just make sure don't hit the anti-cut sausage, that will unsettle the car. Once we are off the inside curb of turn 18, we want to pick up the throttle just a little bit, before braking again, all the way down to first getting in, cutting all of the curb of turn 19, and when we are at that curb pick up the throttle again and make sure to drive out to the outside curb and utilize as much as you need. Then for the classic pits we want to bring the car back to the left side of the track, because what is normally the first turn is the last turn in this one. Again, a place where people will try and overtake you, but when qualifying be on the left side. I'll brake just about a car length before the 50 board here on the left, and here again I aim for about 95% brake pressure, and we want to trail that all the way to the inside curb. Here I prefer not to get all the way in close because the car will bounce, and I'm taking just a little bit of a later apex. When we are at the curb, we should be able to pick up the throttle again. The car will bounce just a little bit, so it should naturally walk out to the left side of the track, and then we should gun it all the way down to the start finish line. Driving as few meters as possible again, so getting close to the wall on the inside will help you just a little bit. That's a lap around Spa, the classic pits layout, in the Toyota GR86, of a time of 2 minutes 47.8. I have more track guides for the GR86 linked down below. Hopefully you found this one useful. If you did, leave a like down below, consider subscribing as well, and now for uninterrupted hot laps.